Welcome to the American Made and Paid Show, the home of free speech and independent thought.
The big story is freedom of speech is really in trouble. The far left knows that at any time they can call for a sponsor boycott of anyone they despise.
It is right here, right now, where you'll get your weekly dose of unfiltered truth.
It's non-negotiable. Pre-existing conditions will be protected. This president has said this as a candidate.
Insight.
Very few people I know could have handled it. We can never, ever let this happen to another president again.
And information that challenges the American way of life.
Welcome, everybody, to the American Made and Paid Show. Happy Friday for all of you who are listening. Zach here, back with Professor Dreg. A lot of exciting stuff happening, specifically surrounding Democrat presidential debates, ASAP Rocky being freed from prison. A lot of people actually believe the earth is flat. I mean, we could go on for days here. One of these days, I want to actually talk about that. There is actually a whole subsection of people that believe that the earth is flat. And they have irrefutable proofs to show that. That's a whole nother thing. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. But let's talk about some specific instances in today's topic, which is, the interaction between Representative Gabbard and Kamala Harris. And we've spoken about Kamala Harris fairly enough on this show, not just because you're of California, but, she's also an Oakland girl, and we all know about her history with Willie Brown. But, what are your thoughts on that? And I'll chime in with my thoughts, and then we can talk about all kinds of stuff, whether it's prosecution, marijuana, bedwenching. I don't know. There's a
yeah. Well, because we spoke about this before, about how, Democrats, any city ran by Democrats, just one party, supermajority Democrats, they're all horrible if you're a minority, especially if you're a minority. If you're a white dude living in a Democrat city, you're going to be okay. But we've spoken about this, and we also said in the past that prisons are no solution, yada yada yada. So it was interesting how Tulsi Gabbard actually brought it up in the debate the other day. So that was a pretty big deal. And but it just totally reminded me of what we've been saying.
Yeah.
That in conservative cities, especially Christian cities, and I'm going to start saying that from now on, but Christian cities honestly do not arrest people. They just don't. The cops are different. They are different than the cops in Democrat cities. Or I should say Satan cities. Because it's kind of true. San Francisco really is. It's kind of like, it's like a biblical scene of Sodom and Gomorrah. You could honestly see at least once a day, you can see somebody pull down their pants and take a dump. Yeah. And you will not be arrested for that.
There's a real app in San Francisco now. There's an app to show you how to avoid the piles of human feces. There's apparently 15 pounds every quarter or every mile of a city block. 15 pounds. So that's a lot of feces.
Yeah, well, I mean, because look, you got people living in their cars. When I go park my car at night, I got to drive around to find a parking spot. When you're walking back, when you walk back home, you see people just sleeping in their cars. Yeah. And whether they're Uber drivers or some kind of like Amazon delivery dude, they're literally living in their car. There's no bathrooms for them to use. Everything is like, there's very few places that are open 24 hours. And where these people are sleeping in their cars, there's absolutely no place for them to go to the bathroom. So they take dumps right outside their car or, by a tree like an animal. But that's, that's a tangent. But either way, but the thing is like this. Democrats, every progressive, they are happy with that. That is what they honestly want. They want people struggling. They want people to be poor and not participate in any sort of economy, even though these people are participating, but it still goes against what the Democrats want. They want you to go to a shelter. that government ran shelter. They want you to get the government aid, because I was listening to Andrew Yang, and he was explaining the UBI, and more detail, because somebody asked him, how are you going to pay for it? It's like, well, if it's something you could opt for, so if you're getting EBT card or something like that, you wouldn't be qualified, or you can choose to take the cash, or you can choose to remain on,
But he's still advocating for the welfare states, isn't that correct?
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it is. So,
okay.
But they're going to dictate to you now, you got to make choices. Do you want Medi-Cal, or do you want EBT or Section 8, or do you want to take the $1,000 cash? Most people take the cash and live in their car. It's amazing, but that's what they want. They want to, well, how do you say it? Because it's interesting, because you got to see it in San Francisco. When people are living in the car, it's called slim pickings. You know what I mean? Like if a thief is walking around and you see like 10, 20 dudes, that's slim pickings. Like there's not a lot of people out in the streets, but you got 10 to 20 people in the cars that you could rob. And if you become somebody slim pickings, that means there's a good chance that they could honestly just kill you right then and there. But that's what they want. They want everybody out of those homes and into a car, or just homeless, living in a tent. And the reason why is because these people have created a big, giant social problem where they're going to be needed to fix it. So they have to create problems in order for them to fix things. Because if you notice in the debates, not one person said anything that was remotely helpful. And I know we don't do this as much, but at least we try to help people try to make money. If they have solutions, that's why I wish, we had, callers so we could honestly answer questions. But we have solutions for people to get their lives better, in a different format than guys like Dave Ramsey or anybody else. I mean, we honestly have really different solutions. But that said, these guys have no solutions. They're only responding to problems that they have created, where nobody understands that they're creating these problems.
Right.
I don't think anyone's really articulating this. And that's why I'm glad that, you started this format, because it's real important to see how this Constitution, the U.S. Constitution, mirrors. And when I say mirror, I mean it literally mirrors the true philosophy of Christianity, what Jesus has said it in the Bible. It's everything in there, in the Bible, in the New Testament, specifically what Jesus says. It's all in the Constitution now. They just modernized it, and they applied it to, all these people in order for them to, be fruitful and live a good life.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? So anyway, and the thing is, when Tulsi Gabbard brought up the fact that Kamala Harris is putting people in prison, that was something it was not a miracle, but it kind of was like a minor miracle that she even brought it up, because nobody brought it up. This is like the second debate. Not one person ever brought that up. And that's real important to note that, hey, look, if you're in a progressive city, you're going to get locked up for simple things that, in theory, we should just, hey, look, now I'm not saying turn the other cheek or ignore them, but you should turn the other cheek and offer these people help, because that's what they need. And that's what happens in conservative cities, Christian cities. That's why you have, AA. It's hard to find AA here in the Bay, but it ain't hard to find AA anywhere else where there's Christianity. It's the truth. And that's the thing. It's like people.
Really? I mean, even Alcoholics Anonymous, it's difficult to find it there?
Dude, they don't do Alcoholics Anonymous. Like AA, I mean, they do it in Spanish, but it's hard to find an English one because I was literally looking for AAs just to see where's all the AAs at, and they don't offer it. But they do offer it in Spanish because, Spanish speaking people are still, religious and they still believe in God and things like that. So you're never going to shake that, belief from immigrants. It's just what they believe. And, they might be doing what they do, but it's just, so anyway, so their AA is still done in Spanish.
Right.
But it's just hard to find an English AA in the Bay Area. It's just not what they do. And it's amazing when you really think about it. So they have all these counseling, but they give you drugs. If you really want to kick the habit for smoking or, heroin or alcohol, they give you pills. Versus going to something like AA. Because I'm telling you now, it's the best. And we spoke about this before too. It's the best. It is the best program out there.
It's not 100% effective, but it obviously gives them the platform to be able to.
No, but it's 30%. But this is something that's really amazing. It's 30% effective. Everything else is single digits. So like, methadone. It's like about 4 or 5% effective.
Right.
Compare that to AA. That's insane. And it's literally kind of free. It doesn't cost you anything to go to AA, but it costs you an arm and leg to pay for methadone, whether you're on Medi-Cal or Medicaid or paying out of pocket. It's expensive, but AA is free. And that's something that's amazing to me. It's like, come on. We can fix all of these things with a much higher effective rate for free.
Right.
It doesn't cost any money to believe in Jesus. It doesn't.
And it's funny because it's like, don't you guys want free stuff? The ultimate form of
yeah, exactly.
But because it's different because this is willingness, right? It's a willingness to give up, give stuff.
Well, you said that yesterday about ego.
Yeah.
And it's the hardest part. Whenever you're addicted to anything, it's all about your ego, man. It's hard. It's a hard thing. Shit, my ego is still fighting me and all kinds of stuff that, I know better, but my ego won't let me let it go. It's the truth.
I can imagine. So,
well, I mean, because it kind of sucks. I mean, you've been trained to be so smart and you're better than everybody else. And and then like when the evidence shows it, it's kind of like, oh man, but then you got to humble yourself. And I don't know. That's a hard thing to do when you're around a bunch of idiots. And you know what I mean? It's like, man, so I don't know. Like there's a lot of things I still don't understand, but I do understand. Well, I don't want to get into that, but yeah, I mean, because like when you look at Kamala Harris, let's go back to Kamala Harris. If you look at Kamala Harris, it makes you wonder if she suffers from what I suffer from. Like having an ego so bad, that, and just so grand that she honestly believes she deserves this. Maybe she believes God appointed her to do these things. You know what I mean? We don't know, but if she sat back and just looked at her results, she would have to realize something like, hey, look, I really did put tens of thousands of people in prison. I ordered a couple of dudes to the death penalty.
I know.
One was actually innocent. So you know what I mean? And it's the truth. Like Tulsi Gabbard was correct when she said that she blocked evidence that would have let a free man go. Because, being that she's the DA, you know what I mean? Like, you don't want your department to look bad. So they hide the evidence. They're like, right. Oh, I'm going to hide it. You know what I mean? And just save our department and save some dudes, But at the same time, the Constitution really does say all of these things that is supposed to make it extremely difficult for anybody to be jailed. And again, that's a Christian principle. It goes back to don't throw that rock. You know what I mean? Don't, you know, and it's the same thing. These people are throwing rocks just for the sake of ego, to protect themselves. It's not a matter of guilt. It's a matter of looking good. So they throw rocks at people, stoning them to death to look good. And that mentality carries on for generations.
Right.
And I'll give you a good example of something that, you know, the stone throwing type of curse. And now, like, what's her name? You know the Kennedys, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so JFK's granddaughter was found dead yesterday.
What?
It's
I don't know about this.
no, it's a curse. Like these people, oh, she OD'd on something, but my point is, it's a, I don't want to say generational curse, but it's kind of like a biblical thing. It's like, you know, if you do something bad, you know what I mean? Like the way Kamala Harris is doing, you're imprisoning people. You're just protecting your ego.
Yeah. What? You're right. Wow. You weren't kidding. She's dead for drug overdose. Oh my.
No, but that's a biblical thing. You hate to say things like this, but but the thing is like this: you curse yourself by imprisoning people. By when you have the power, like Kamala Harris, she has the power to do a lot of great things, but she chooses not to. She's putting people away. That's her history.
Right.
Everybody glossed over it. And I believe I don't know if she has any kids, but she has just cursed her entire family. I'm telling you now. The same way the Kennedys are cursed.
Yeah.
Because that's what they were doing. And man, you feel bad to say things like that because I know they're grieving or whatever. But dude, like that family has no rest. It's just one tragedy after another. And I don't have any scientific proof, but something in my gut's telling me that it's a curse.
I without sounding overly superstitious, I mean, I would agree. You know, it's just I think that those are real things. I think that but
no, well, it's kind of in the Bible because it's in Genesis.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
that's where I got it from. It's.
You're not wrong though. You're not wrong. I mean, I'm on the same train of thought when it comes to that type of thing. So,
but like, because I know there's a scientific reason for it. I know there is. And you know, and if you study psychology and behavioral sciences, like the function of behaviors, it's because of the behaviors of the parents, and it passes down through, and there's a lot of stress. There's a lot of, because this is another thing that came out. The cop that killed, choked. Do you remember Eric Garner?
Yeah, Eric Garner is the guy who got shot.
Well, no. Okay, Eric Garner is the guy in New York that was choked out by the cop for selling loose cigarettes.
Yeah, that's right.
So and this is and it actually happened again. So like 3 years ago, a Dallas cop choked somebody out, and you could hear the guy begging for his life. And he goes, "Hey, you're choking me, da 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 da, this and that," and then he died. So that guy's going to prison soon. But the thing is, when you do things like that, and I'm not saying Kamala Harris killed people, but she did put a dude to death. She ordered it.
Right.
And so when you do things like that, just killing people, just acting extremely violent, that violence gets passed down to your kids. Your kids witnessed it. They hear about it. It's in their head, even though they're not doing it themselves, but their mind is still affected by it. And that's, I mean, I haven't really worked on it yet, but I think that's how generational curses get passed down scientifically is, the parents hold that guilt. They hold that PTSD because it really is traumatic when you see somebody die by your own hands. No person beyond a psychopath, because even sociopaths feel something, but a psychopath won't feel anything. And normally they don't have children. So once they die, that's it. But everybody else who's killed a person, they're going to pass that on to their kids by their own guilt. That guilt eats away at them. It affects how they become a father or a mother. And the Kennedys have been cursed with this. They have been cursed with this generational curse. Now their granddaughter's dead.
So how does this relate to Tulsi Gabbard's comments about Kamala Harris? And
because she was the only one that brought it up.
Yeah,
nobody brought it up. Nobody brought up the I don't want to call Kamala Harris a criminal, but nobody brought up her past. You know, everybody's focused on Willie Brown, which is funny because it is funny.
Well, yeah, but I feel like that one's but there's a lot of other stuff, right? There's a lot of other things that she addressed.
Because think about it. What do all of these people always say, Democrats? Oh, hey, you black people, you vote for me because a vote for me means your freedom. You're not going to be oppressed by the white man and all this crazy stuff. Because it's 2019, 2016, 2010. San Francisco has been ran by black people for a long time. Oakland ran by black people for a long time. Baltimore ran by black people for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So all of these progressives, and I don't want to call them Satanists, but but it's to the point.
Alex Jones calls them.
No, does he really? See, because he's spot on. Like, gosh, darn, I got to listen to this guy. I really do, because it's amazing how different people who've never met come up with the same conclusions.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's logical. If you have anything logical, because it doesn't make any sense. Like, why would Kamala Harris do what she did? Why would she fuck another woman's husband? Why would she do that? No, I mean, you know, if you understand anything about, well, I don't even want to get into the physics part of it, but there really is different realms, and this is where these people live, and then they have the ability, the same way, you know, God did what he did. These things have the same ability to just break through our barriers and affect other people. Whether it's through your dreams, or whether it's whatever, I don't know. But the problem is people deny it. Mm-hmm. So therefore, they're going to act out on it. Kamala Harris has been acting out on these things for decades. And it probably started when she decided to go ahead and screw Willie Brown. I think that's when her whole life probably fell apart. And even though it looks like it hasn't fallen apart, but it is. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. The point is, they target blacks. They target the Mexicans. They target Filipinos.
Yeah.
And then they target the Vietnamese. And then they target the ghetto-ass Chinese people who live in these neighborhoods because, you know, they control the stores. And they're tired of everybody, you know, ripping them off or whatever. So they start voting the same way these other people are voting. And they got everybody convinced that if they want economic freedom, if they want all of these things, they gotta submit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a big thing. Because think about it. When you look at a Muslim, what do Muslims have to do to Allah? When you accept Allah, you gotta submit to him. Like if he's the slave master. Seriously, it's like you're a slave to that God, even though it's the same God, but how they think, it's a submission, right?
Yeah.
But then when people believe in that, when you believe you got to submit to somebody else, you give up a lot. But see, now with the whole philosophy of Jesus, you don't have to submit to Jesus. Mm-hmm. He's already done it for free. He's like, yeah, fuck it. I'm going to, you know, I did all this for you guys. For nothing. Whether you believe me in me or not, I don't care. It's already done. You know, you don't need to submit like you're some slave. I'm going to give you the freedom, and eventually you're going to get there. Seriously.
I didn't say anything, but you just got it.
No,
that's what I'm talking about. I've been telling you that it's a free gift. Just believe on Christ. That's all you got to do. But you see, that's the thing, because people put works first before faith. It's faith first and accepting. And then what happens is that stuff follows naturally.
But the reason why is because if you submit, see, that's the difference. Submission literally means you're going to be a slave, and slaves have to work. And therefore, they don't understand what type of work that needs to be done.
And that's why in the Bible it says you're saved by your faith and not of works.
Yeah, that's insane. It really is insane, because it's a hard thing to accept, because if you believe the way these people believe, you know, because look, that's why you got to get rid of that slave mentality. You really do.
And Jesus didn't want any of us to be slaves. He wanted us to be free by accepting the free gift of him.
And that's why the Constitution
changes people. And that's why the Constitution is great. Well, you know what? Thank you for that, because I mean, I knew this, but
yeah, you always
when you frame this that way, what makes me happy is seeing that you get it, like you understand.
Well, see, because it's okay, but here's the thing: I'm learning slowly, but nobody has ever honestly broken it down, because it's confusing. Why do Jews and why do Muslims think so differently than Christians? Well, because they gotta submit. They have a slave mentality. They got to submit. It's not about like, oh, you know, this and that. It's not about love. And that's, you know, Savage actually said that, but he didn't say it like the way I'm saying it. But I think that's what he meant when he said that Christianity is the only he goes, there's no religions based out of love except for Christianity. But every other religion,
yeah,
but that's the thing. So
and no part of Christianity is not. I'm not talking about our world's government, but God has His laws. But the laws of following that does not save you. But when you accept, you naturally find yourself drawing yourself closer to God. If you truly accepted Christ, it changes people. But see, that's the power of God at work, and we have to accept that, because there's no other way around it. God knows us better than we know ourselves. And that's why Jesus's philosophy is so powerful with capitalism and free markets. Why? Because you're offering yourself first. Kill them with kindness. Turn the other cheek. That's all a form of, hey, I'm giving you this for free. And what do you think that does to people?
Yeah, it changes them.
Changes them. Isn't that great? It's not, hey, you're born into Catholicism, so abide by these. Because Catholicism is Christianity put into legislation in the Roman Empire. When Constantinople, we said this last episode, decided to make it the official religion, you know, catch that word there, the legal religion of the Roman Empire and the Western world at that time, because the Roman Empire was the Western world at that time, which is why Catholicism is freaking everywhere. That's what happened. But it's a works-based thing, and it's flawed. You know,
but the thing is too, if you really want to be honest about you know, Catholics, you got to submit to it as well. So there's a form of submission, like you got to submit to the priest and do what's that thing, that confessions, and then they tell you what to do, like, oh, do like 10 Hail Marys. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, of course. That's all.
There's a form of submission there, which isn't cool. You know what I mean? And that's kind of, you know, with these priests, and I don't know, it makes you kind of sad. You know what I mean? Because I know they've done a lot of good things with their charities and like, because, you know, like I'm a big fan of that Homeboy Charities down in LA. And they got Homeboy and Homegirl charities, and they do good stuff with training people and stuff like that. But
oh yeah, definitely.
It's mostly for the Mexicans or cholos or whatever. But that's why they called Homeboys. What's up, Homeboy? But the problem is, it really is flawed, because you have to submit to those priests. This is how it works, and then you got to submit to the Pope, and then their archbishops and bishops and that whole hierarchy of thing. It's amazing how it's ran. But you know, it's just one of those things. But anyway, but the funny thing is, Kamala Harris just automatically expects you to submit and just believe that everything she has to offer is going to save your life, set you free, and all this other stuff. Beat back oppression. When in the reality, if you look at her past, she was the one putting people in jail. She was the one allowing people to use fake evidence against innocent people.
Right.
Because she wanted political power. And that's just how it works. And Tulsi Gabbard actually brought that up. And because she did,
makes so much sense. Yeah.
No, but because she did, she really showed, you know, I don't want to say true colors, but she honestly did show a lot of people the difference between, or at least she opened up the doors to show the differences between progressive ideology, which is really based in, I don't want to say not Satan, but the other guys, the demons.
Yeah.
That's demonic. Because see, Satan would be more like the Catholic Church because they're good-looking people using their charms and wits to get you into slavery, whereas the demons are ugly. And what Kamala Harris does, like progressive ideology, it's an ugly thing. You know, like you really gotta love ugly.
Well, you know, it's funny because this is kind of off topic, but somebody posted a picture of Soros, which is the devil himself, and then they put a picture of Hillary Clinton right next to Soros, and they look very alike. But so here's the thing too, and this is like not, you know, people are like, oh well, that's a fallacy, and you're right, this is not 100% accurate. But here's the deal: evil makes people look older and like more like you know, think about it, right? Because like some of these like godly Christian people who are truly godly and truly Christian, not chinos, not Christian in name only, they're like happy and beaming, and they may have flaws, but it's just kind of like, you're not evil. Like I don't detect evil from looking at you. Sometimes you can see it in their eyes too, you know? It's just like, oh no, that person is of good I don't know. That seems a little superstitious, but you know what I mean when some people say, "Man, I can sense evil from this person."
No,
like
but it's true.
You just reek of evil. Keep talking. I'll be right back. I just got
Yeah. No. Okay. So the reason why I believe what you say is true is because you have to look at the physics of it. So the physics of it would be the inverse of the theory of relativity, and it actually happened to Moses. So when Moses went up to the mountain, you know, he experienced some things with God or whoever, and well, with God, I don't know if it was with angels or whatnot, but the thing is, when he came back, he was an old man, and I believe the math would still be the same. So if Soros or Clinton, if they're traveling at those speeds, you know, obviously for shorter, briefer moments of time, it's going to age them because that's just how science works. The faster your body goes and travels towards the speed of light, it's going to age your cells much quicker because your cells are actually moving faster. They're being used much faster.
right.
And that's probably why people age much quicker when they spend time with those demons in those other dimensions. It's the truth. That's actually how it works. It's been documented in the book of Moses, and it's probably true because we have the muon particle that shows the faster you move, the faster you go towards the speed of light, it ages you quicker because you use more energy and you're burning right through. Example, have you ever thrown sodium in water?
It dissolves. Or not, I'm thinking of sodium chloride, which is salt. But
Yeah, no, but just pure sodium in water blows up.
Really?
You just look it up on YouTube. You see it, and it's burning. And then you can watch it on YouTube. What's liquid nitrogen? You know the frozen stuff, and you pour it on ice, and it's totally frozen. Sodium will not burn when it's, you know, at those levels of coldness. But once water touches it, it catches on fire and burns rapidly. So imagine that going at the speed of light. That's what a muon particle does. It just burns really quick. And when you're around demons, because whether it's in your dreams or whatever, you're moving that fast, so quick to the speed of light, you're burning up a lot of your cells inside your body. Therefore, aging you. You lose elasticity because there's a protein that repels water and all this other stuff and whatnot. And if we know anything about water, for some reason, water is vital in producing heat. And look at sodium. When it's water is what makes the sodium burn because it separates the hydrogen. Anyway, so long story short, I don't know. I believe because I just heard your theory and I'm just going off the top of my head. But if I was to look and think of the math, that's how I would break it down. I would compare, see how certain proteins are being burnt up and used in these types of dimensions. So, it comes down to, can we ever see the other realms? And it's hard because we can't see it through. I mean, hell, we can't even see ultraviolet. We can't see, microwaves with our naked eye. We can't see radio waves. But, if we can, the same way we use a TV to see, TV waves, you know what I mean? Or radio waves, like we use the radio to look at the radio waves and things like that. If we can come up with a device that allows us to see, these types of beings like demons or angels or whatever, we probably could create something like that so we could see it. But our naked eyes, we can't see it the same way we can't see a radio or a microwave. But we have a microwave oven and we know it's there because it's cooking the food. We just can't see it with our naked eyes. And so, we're still primitive in our technology that somehow, some way God has mastered and Jesus mastered. All these people mastered it, but us, because it's not within us. But the same way we do microwaves, I believe that these demons age people. It's solid. It's a solid theory. I like I said, I haven't worked on the math, but I could, and maybe in a month or two, have a real solid theory, or mathematical formula that would prove a theory if certain things were met. And that's just how it works. But no, that's very that's a very good observation because you hate to say things like that.
But it's
like,
true. We all know it's true. That's the thing.
No, the thing is too, she has access to the best creams in the world too. Like the best doctors and Botox, and still doesn't work because that's how bad her skin has accelerated. You know what I mean? Like her cells must be burning off the same way you see sodium just blowing up, just and that's what happens when demons get close to you. And then you accept it, boom, 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 boom. It just blows you up, and you're just struggling to, it's crazy when you really look at things. When you really look at things, just from the chemical aspect, it's amazing how chemicals act, and chemicals do act that way in different, parallel universes. And because that would make sense, because what's wrong with Hillary Clinton? How come she couldn't walk? How come she was, what I mean? Like all of these things, it's like, why?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where her husband, on the other hand, I don't think he's as bad as Hillary Clinton. I just, because,
True.
He's just a horny dude, you know what I mean? Just really didn't care about anything. But man, she was the person behind the scenes destroying everybody. You know what I mean? She went after Juanita Broderick, and obviously we all know what happened to the 19-year-old chick, Monica Lewinsky. You know what I mean? Like she was just destroying people, and yeah, I don't know. She's a special type of evil person. I just, because if I did something wrong, I guarantee you the counselor would not be in my corner. You know what I mean? She'd be like, oh man, that's messed up. I'm going to turn you in, or something like that. Or maybe not turn, but she's not going to go out there and destroy people to save her reputation. You know what I mean? So, and that's what, oh man, it's like, I don't like to think like that, but because there's no proof of anything, but it's just my guts telling me this. It's just something special, like a special type of evil with those people. But going back to like the candidates and everything else, it has to be noted that Yeah, like it's amazing to think about Tulsi Gabbard. She's so wrong in so many things, but she's so correct on calling out the hypocrisies of the Democrats. It's amazing. So maybe she does believe in certain things or this and that. I don't know. But because nobody knows what another person's thinking. And but you know, I don't know, like when I think about people like that, I think, man, she could be converted pretty easily, you know, because she's logical. She understands, you know, like the importance of not prosecuting people unjustly. Sure. And that's the key principle of Christianity. It's one of the foundations of it. You cannot prosecute people. You just can't. That's unjust. And when you do prosecute them, you got to do it in a way that's going to help build them up, and versus breaking them down and making them some kind of weird slave, you know, because she literally said that the reason why she was doing this was to get cheap labor. She said that on the stage. She goes, she was locking up people by the tens of thousands so she could have cheap labor, so they could use them as cheap labor, cheap prison labor, you know, because in California the prisoners are allowed to make like $7 a day if they make jeans and fight fires and all kinds of crazy stuff. So, and of course the dudes do it because why? They don't want to be in prison. That like they want to experience the outdoors, even risking their lives. They want freedom. So, so she called them out, and because it is true, these prisoners, you know, it's amazing. Like, why would you even, if you honestly believe that they did something that allows them to be locked away, then keep them locked away. Why do they got to do anything? You know, why are they going to fight fires or anything else? Because in reality, if they really are as evil as people think they are, they're going to run away and start killing people or raping people or whatever it is that you think they're going to do.
Yeah.
But I think Tulsi Gabbard was spot on by saying, no, they're using them as cheap labor. That's why they do it. They're putting away innocent people for cheap labor. And it's amazing, but she's correct. And because I believe, like, I would say at least 75% of every person in jail, the county jail, or in prison doesn't deserve to be there. You know, because the punishment doesn't fit the crime. A lot of these people in prison, you know, like white collar crimes should never be in prison. I don't care what anybody says.
Really? Even if you stole like, I don't know, $10 million from a company?
Yeah, even Bernie Madoff. Because think about it. Bernie Madoff made money off of greedy people. You know, the whole thing about like UC Berkeley, they lost tons of millions to Bernie Madoff. And the thing is like this. What were they doing with that money? Seriously, what were those people doing with their money? Right. It wasn't like anybody in the Berkeley staff were doing anything good with that money. They were wasting it. They were probably doing evil things with it. Therefore, they went to an evil man who did more evil things with that money. It's like, seriously, it wasn't like Bernie Madoff ripped off anybody doing any good. Seriously, that's why they fall for pyramid schemes. There's a big difference because everybody goes, oh, you know, multi-level marketing is a pyramid scheme. No, it's not. Multi-level marketing is not a pyramid scheme. It just isn't, because in a pyramid scheme, the people at the bottom don't make any money. But in the multi-level marketing, the people at the bottom have a chance to become a person at the top if they work hard. It's actually merit-based. There's incentives in multi-level marketing. In a pyramid scheme, there is no incentives. You just don't know you're in a pyramid scheme. Right. So, yeah, if white-collar crimes, it's just a bunch of greedy people ripping off other greedy people, and those are lessons to be learned, you know. And I believe prison should be, you know, like, prison and jail are for people who commit really violent acts, because it's, to be violent, it takes a special kind of evil in you, even though you're a trained fighter, because when you get angry and you have that type of strength,
Mm-hmm.
there's, I don't know, it's like a rage that's not, it's hard to describe, but when you get angry and you start hitting people and dude, like you black out, but I call it whiting out, because I used to just see white. Like when you black out, you see black, but when you're angry, you just see white. It's just, and you don't even care. You're just like, pop, 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 pop. You don't care. You know what I mean? So that's different. That's like, it takes a special kind of crazy to do things like that. And even though like when you're angry, you lose control, and it's not really intentional. But the thing is, it needs to be like handled differently than just a greedy ass person. You know what I mean? Because, and I hate this saying, but like cops say this all the time why they don't respond to like places in Baltimore, Chicago. It's, it's the trash taking out the trash. You know what I mean? That's just a saying, and that's a terrible saying, but that's what they believe. And, that's a demonic saying.
Yeah, I'm doing a lot of the thinking, because you're saying a lot of these things, and it's all true, but you sound crazy for saying this if we didn't talk about all of these different concepts in previous episodes as to how this all goes down.
Yeah, well, but that's why it's all insane. But it's so important because see, a lot of people don't see the Christianity in what people say when it's an honest to God solution. When it's a solution that works for all of humanity, that's a Christian principle. But we have forgotten those principles because they're not taught. Mm-hmm. And that's, so what she did was phenomenal. When I heard that, I was like, holy crap, this is like, it's amazing she brought it up, because usually people would attack her sleeping with Willie Brown or yelling at Joe Biden, you know what I mean? Versus the substance of the character. Mm-hmm. And she went after her substance, which was amazing, because nobody ever does. Nobody ever does. And then they focus in on the stupidity of everybody, like Andrew Yang with his stupidity. Right. Oh, let's give free money and all this other stuff. And oh God, like he was on The View. Andrew Yang. I couldn't remember where he was at, but he was on The View. And of course, Whoopi Goldberg was, positive with him. But Joy Behar was like, oh yeah, this thing, it won't work. It can't pay for it. And now she's sounding all conservative. It's trillions and trillions of dollars. And, it's just not enough. And what are the rich people going to do with that money and whatnot? And then she was all saying, because Elizabeth Warren is going to say all these things. And so they're really trying to pump up Elizabeth Warren, pump up Kamala Harris, and of course Joe Biden, because he's like old reliable. And Andrew Yang actually had good answers, but
he wasn't given much of an opportunity to speak, though. That's the main thing.
Yeah, not on stage, but he was at The View. So if you understand Christianity in not in a biblical way, but in the, like how it applies in economics, how it applies in making money, how it applies in the criminal justice system, how does all this apply? So when you listen to Andrew Yang, you just start thinking, fuck, that dude's really demonic. Like he's a real little demon. He just is. Like everything he says is I don't want to say evil.
Our show is more and more starting to become like, because this is what you would hear on InfoWars. It's like, they're all demons. They're all trying to control. But this is why, like, after you kind of dissect it a bit and you talk about Christianity, it's like, it's true. These people are all possessed.
Yeah, no, I'm telling you. No, but it's, you hate to sound like some guy. I mean, I don't know if it's religious kooks, but because I really don't know enough about religions, about, who does. Because the one thing, like, I never really believed in exorcisms and stuff like that, but now I'm thinking, shit, maybe they're real after all. Who knows, man? Who knows? I've never seen one, but the thing is like this, and it's not even if because not like I'm going to be I'm going to make a conscious effort not to sound crazy or like, oh, demons running around everywhere. But the thing is, you have to be able to recognize evil. People don't recognize it. Like on the streets, they say, oh, that's a bad dude. And they celebrate bad men. But it's not that they're bad men. Bad men, quote unquote, bad, have to be bad in order to fight evil, because that's what's running the streets. You got a lot of people on these drugs. They're on some sort of medication that's altering their mind, altering their strength. And if you cannot fight that off, then you're toast. And that's why you have to be able to recognize good versus evil. And it's not just blatant. There's nuances. So people like Andrew Yang, they're evil. You got to say that they're evil. Why? Because his intentions, as good as they might sound, it's still evil. And if you're on the streets, you're trying to, like you're a homeless dude in your car, you got to be able to recognize who's really out there to help and who's really out there pretending to help because they want power. Mm-hmm. And that's Andrew Yang. He's evil as hell. So, I don't know how Alex Jones calls people demons and evil, but I'm hoping we try to use at least some sort of scientific method to just, because it's the truth. Because I know if anything is true, there has to be a formula or an explanation that is scientifically proven. And I've been pretty good at proving almost everything in that Bible. And especially when it comes to Christian principles and philosophy and economics, criminal justice, it's the truth, because everybody's complaining about it. Kamala Harris complained about it. Tulsi Gabbard even, that's why she brought it up. But she had no solution. Nobody in the Democrat Party has solutions. They don't. Trump, as much of a blowhard he might be, or people don't like how he's articulate or whatever, but at least he humbled himself enough to recognize Christian principles, Christian philosophies, and he's able to do that. And that's what he's able to do. That's why he's been successful. He has this new trade deal going, and it's going to be successful because it is a fundamental Christian principle that he's embraced, and it's going to work.
Do you have any? No. I agree with you, and I think that you said it all right there. I kind of gave you the floor here, but it's true. It's
it's crazy.
Keep coming back to it, but we definitely have to continue this. Do you have any final thoughts? Because I do have to take a call.
No, I got no final thoughts. There is no. My mind's always racing when I think of.
No, but we need to talk more about Jesus, man. We need to talk more about that because he's the key. He's the way. And
no, but it is amazing when you break it down and you look. Seriously, because my final thought would be this: the fact that you don't have to submit the way you do to Allah, or the Jewish faith or whatever. You don't have to submit. That's the fundamental difference. Every progressive wants you to submit. You want free welfare, then you got to submit to the social worker. And then the social worker is going to analyze everything for you. And then if your submission is good enough, you get more free stuff. That's not how it works. That's the opposite of Christianity. You don't need to submit. So those are my final thoughts. It's all about submitting, slavery, Anyway, all right,
cool. Thank you guys for listening to our show, and Professor Dreg for your thoughts. I hope you guys got something out of this. Made you think a little bit. I kind of sat back, listened to what he had to say, but yeah, it all makes sense. And I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend, and we'll see you guys all soon. Take care.